January 3, 2026, 2:01 a.m. A massive American MH-47 Chinook helicopter is tearing across the rooftops of Caracas, Venezuela. Flying just 30 meters off the ground, suddenly, the night sky ignites. Heavy machine gun fire rips through the fuselage from multiple directions. Inside the cockpit, Chief Warrant Officer Eric Slover feels a devastating impact as heavy rounds shatter his leg and hip. The wounds are severe, the pain blinding. If the aircraft goes down right now, the most aggressive covert operation in modern history ends in disaster. But Slover doesn't pull back. Clenching through the agony, he fights the controls, stabilizes the heavily damaged twin-rotor beast, and forces it down exactly on target. Because of his sheer grit, 80 elite army commandos hit the ground running. Within minutes, Nicolás Maduro, the heavily guarded president of Venezuela, is in American flex cuffs. This operation didn't just shock Latin America, it completely rewrote the rules of modern warfare. But how did the Pentagon pull off a raid this brazen inside a hostile capital without triggering World War III? To understand that, we have to look past the gunfire and uncover the multi-million-dollar betrayal that opened the door. Months before the raid, in August 2025, Washington raised the stakes to an unprecedented level. The United States placed a staggering $50 million bounty on Maduro, the largest reward ever offered for a sitting head of state. Maduro knew he was a target. He had closely studied the downfalls of Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi, and Pablo Escobar. He understood a fundamental rule of survival. The moment your enemy knows where you sleep consistently, you are already dead. To protect himself, Maduro became a ghost. He constantly rotated between hidden underground bunkers, military bases, and private apartments across Caracas. Not even his own cabinet members knew where he would be from one hour to the next. But $50 million changes everything. It turns loyal bodyguards into liabilities and trusted generals into informants. By the fall of 2025, someone deep inside Maduro's inner circle cracked. Driven by fear and the ultimate payout, an insider handed American intelligence the keys to the kingdom: exact floor plans, tunnel escape routes, and the precise guard schedules of the elite Cuban forces protecting the president. Deep within a sealed military compound in North Carolina, Delta Force went to work. Using the stolen insider intelligence, they constructed a flawless, full-scale replica of Maduro's stronghold. Every hallway, every reinforced steel door, and every staircase was built to the exact centimeter. Elite operators didn't improvise, they built muscle memory. Day and night, they ran the layout over and over, wargaming every nightmare scenario. What if Russian advisors were inside the room? What if Maduro made it to the underground tunnels first? By December, over 150 American aircraft, drones, and electronic warfare assets were quietly shifting into positions across 20 separate sea and land bases. The objective was unforgiving: strike with such overwhelming speed that the Venezuelan military command wouldn't even realize they were under attack until the extraction asset was already over international waters. They waited through Christmas. They waited through New Year's. Finally, on January 2nd, the weather cleared, and the execute order was signed. Just past midnight on January 3rd, the invisible invasion began. A massive American cyberattack completely blinded Caracas. Radar screens flickered out, military radios went dead, and communication networks collapsed across the capital. To pull the palace guards away from Maduro, precision diversionary strikes slammed into ammunition dumps and fuel depots around Fort Tiuna. As fires lit up the horizon, Venezuelan troops scrambled toward the chaos, exactly as the Pentagon planned. Every eye in the Venezuelan military was pointed at the fires. Nobody had looked up. Chinooks and Blackhawks tore across Caracas at low altitude, flying just 30 meters above the rooftops. Car alarms triggered from the rotor wash. Civilians looked up, terrified. The Venezuelan Air Force scrambled fighters, but American F-22s were already overhead. The Venezuelan pilots turned back. With the defense forces distracted, Eric Slover's crippled Chinook flew straight through the gunfire and put the assault team directly onto the compound. Inside, the compound became a war zone. Delta Force operators traded heavy fire with the Cuban security detail, using blowtorches to slice through reinforced steel doors, sector by sector, cutting off every escape route one room at a time. The operators reached the bedroom. The door was blown inward. Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, were seized as they tried to reach the escape tunnel. Flex cuffs, blindfold, noise-canceling headphones, no speeches, no confrontation, just the next move. Professionals don't celebrate during extraction. A fresh wave of helicopters came in. Maduro and Flores were loaded aboard under guard. The helicopters banked hard through hostile fire and accelerated north. By 3:29 a.m., every operator was over international waters. Extraction complete. Maduro was delivered to the USS Iwo Jima, 100 miles off the Venezuelan coast. From there, a Department of Justice Boeing 757 carried him to New York. He landed at Stewart Air National Guard Base at 4:32 p.m. and was taken by helicopter to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. 13 years of absolute rule vanished in a matter of minutes. The world woke up on January 3rd to something it had never witnessed before. A sitting head of state, removed from his own capital by foreign special operations forces in a single night. The reaction was immediate and deeply divided. At the United Nations, the Security Council convened an emergency session. Russia condemned the operation. China called it a violation of sovereignty. Mexico's president declared that the Americas do not belong to any power. The Trump administration pushed back hard, invoking the Monroe Doctrine and declaring that the United States was in charge of Venezuela. Back in Caracas, Maduro's son addressed the National Assembly. He called the operation a kidnapping. He called the trial illegitimate and illegal. He warned the world, if we normalize this today, no country is safe tomorrow. But the operation was done, and Maduro was already in Brooklyn. On January 5th, 48 hours after the raid, Maduro and Cilia Flores were transferred to the Daniel Patrick Moynihan United States Courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Handcuffed, limping, wearing jail clothes. He was brought before Judge Alvin Hellerstein, a 92-year-old jurist who had presided over some of the most consequential cases in modern American legal history. In court, Maduro did not stay quiet. When asked to identify himself, he declared, "I am the president of my country." When asked to enter a plea, he looked directly at the court and said, "I am innocent. I am not guilty. I am a decent man." Then he pleaded not guilty to all 4 counts: narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns, and conspiracy to possess machine guns. If convicted on all charges, he faces life in prison. People think operations like this succeed because of bravery. That's Hollywood. Real operations succeed because of preparation and because someone opened the door first. The U.S. knew too much. Guard rotations, tunnel layouts, security procedures, the exact route Maduro would take underground. That level of precision doesn't come from satellites. It comes from insiders. And insiders only emerge when regimes start rotting from within. That's the pattern behind almost every dictatorship collapse. Not invasion, decay, fear, distrust. Once people inside the system stop believing survival is guaranteed, they start making deals. Quietly. Secretly. According to reporting after the operation, those informants may have risked their entire families to make this happen. Some are reportedly still in hiding today. The actual capture, by all accounts, was over in minutes. The mission that made it possible took years. Signals intelligence, human assets, satellite tracking, psychological profiling, mock rehearsals, contingency planning for every scenario, including Russian and Chinese military technology inside the building. That's what modern special operations actually looks like, not armies colliding. One specific node, identified, isolated, and removed faster than the enemy can respond. While the world reeled from the political shockwave of a captured head of state, a quiet, high-level ceremony took place back in the United States. For his extraordinary heroism under fire, Warrant Officer Eric Slover was awarded the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military honor for valor. Despite suffering severe, career-ending wounds to his leg and hip, his refusal to abandon the controls saved the lives of 80 commandos and ensured the success of a mission that altered history. Ultimately, Hollywood will tell you this raid succeeded purely because of firepower and bravery. But the tactical reality is far colder. Dictatorships rarely fall from outside pressure alone. They collapse when the people on the inside lose faith in the regime's survival. Maduro survived uprisings, economic ruin, and international sanctions. But in the end, he couldn't survive the greed of the people closest to him. Because once your inner circle stops believing you can protect them, even the most heavily fortified presidential bunker becomes nothing more than a trap.